Let me tell y'all something right now. You ever notice when you don't love yourself, the whole world feels like it's out to get you? You wake up mad, you go to bed mad, you stay mad. Self-love sets your standards, plain and simple. See, life will treat you exactly how you teach it to treat you. Every relationship, every friendship, every opportunity that shows up, it reflects the level you've set for yourself. If you don't love you, if you don't value you, people can smell it. It's like walking around with a neon sign on your forehead that says, I'll settle for less. Think about it. You ever been to one of those discount stores? You walk in and stuff's tossed everywhere, clothes on the floor, shoes with no matches. Nobody's taking care of it. And because it's all over the place, because it looks cheap, folks walk in and treat it cheap. They shove stuff around, they throw it back on the racks, they don't even care. Now go into a high-end store, go walk into a Louis Vuitton store. Oh, it's clean, organized, elegant. You don't just grab stuff off the shelves, you ask for it, you respect it, you admire it, you treat it better because the store treats it better. That's you. You are the store. You set the energy. You decide whether people have to handle you with care or whether they can toss you around like yesterday's leftovers. There's a conversation you got to have with yourself every morning. Am I cheap today or am I priceless? Am I going to let people bargain for my peace, my time, my love, or am I standing firm on who I know I am? Because if you don't set a standard, the world will set one for you, and I promise it'll be lower than you deserve. I remember watching a young lady stay in a relationship where she was constantly belittled, constantly taken for granted. People would tell a girl, you deserve better, but it didn't matter what we said. You know why? Because deep down, she didn't believe she deserved better. She hadn't raised her own bar yet. See, until you love yourself enough to say, I will not accept this, you'll keep accepting it. And that ain't about the world being cruel. That's about you not loving you enough to demand more. You don't get the love you want. You get the love you think you deserve. You don't get the salary you dream about. You get the salary you have the courage to ask for. You don't get the friends who lift you higher unless you stop settling for friends who pull you lower. Self-love is the silent contract you write with the universe. You put it out there without speaking a word, and everything that comes back to you will match that energy. Let me give you a real-world example. There's a man I know, hard worker, brilliant mind, heart of gold, but every time he went for a promotion, he would downplay his achievements. He didn't believe he was worthy of more. He didn't own his greatness. And guess what happened? His bosses didn't either. They kept giving the big opportunities to louder, prouder, less qualified folk. Because that man's standards for himself were stuck in the basement. He thought humility was playing small. Nah, real humility is being honest about your gifts and honoring them. You walk around telling people you're just okay, you're nothing special. Guess what? They will treat you like you're just okay, nothing special. You walk into the room like I am God's masterpiece. I'm here for a reason. I bring value everywhere I go. Guess what happens? The room shifts, opportunities shift, respect shifts, love shifts. You don't have to beg for a seat at the table when you know you bring the table with you. You ever see people at the airport getting on the plane? First class gets called first. They get on early, they sit comfortable. They sip their champagne before the rest of the passengers even step foot on the jet bridge. Now economy seats are cool, ain't nothing wrong with them. But understand the difference. It's all about position. It's about the experience you in life. When you set a self-love standard high, you walking through life like first class. You say no to nonsense quick. You say yes to joy faster. You prioritize your mental health without apologizing. People will only treat you how you show them to treat you. You teach them through the way you talk about yourself, through the way you let them talk to you, through the way you respond to disrespect, whether you laugh it off when it's not funny or whether you call it out then leave. And don't get it twisted, setting a standard doesn't mean you don't love people. It means you love you enough not to lose yourself trying to keep somebody else comfortable. You can forgive people and still never let them back into the same space again. You can be kind and still have non-negotiables. You can love big and still have boundaries that hit like steel walls. When you love yourself at a high level, toxic people get uncomfortable around you. They can't survive in your presence. They can't manipulate you. They can't drain you. They can't plant their poison in your soil because you already full, you already watered yourself. And that's the thing nobody tells you when you set a new standard for your life. It ain't just about saying, I want better. It's about being better, acting better, believing better, choosing better. Standards ain't words. Standards are actions repeated until your life can't help but rise to match them. And the crazy part is once you set them high and stick to them, you don't even have to explain yourself. You just become unavailable for anything less. Self-love helps you recognize red flags early, faster than any advice anybody could give you. When you truly love yourself, you stop negotiating with people's bad behavior. You stop second-guessing that little voice inside your gut that's screaming something ain't right. Because self-love sharpens your instincts. It tunes your spirit like a finely tuned instrument. You hear every false note, crystal clear, even when it's wrapped up in a pretty package. You ever notice how easy it is to ignore red flags when you're desperate to be loved? You ever find yourself making excuses? Oh, he's just busy. Oh, she didn't mean it that way. Everybody has a bad day. Listen, loving yourself enough means you stop giving out free passes for disrespect disguised as ooh. It means you catch the red flags at the first wave, not after they wrap around your neck and start choking the life out of your dreams. Imagine walking into a restaurant and the second you step in, it smells rotten. Now you don't need to see the kitchen to know something's wrong. You don't need to read every bad Yelp review. Your nose already told you. But if you're hungry enough, if you're desperate enough, you'll sit down anyway. You'll hold your breath, you'll tell yourself maybe it's not that bad, and you'll stay. You'll eat something you know ain't good for you. And later on when you get sick, you'll realize you ignored the first warning. That's exactly how ignoring red flags works in life. When you love yourself, you respect your own warning. You trust that first feeling even when there's no visible proof yet. You don't wait for the apology that never comes. You don't sit around hoping toxic behavior will magically turn healthy. There's a conversation that people who love themselves have in their heads the minute they spot something off. It goes like this: I've been through too much, healed too hard, fought too many battles to entertain this nonsense. And just like that, they move on. No drama, no explanations, no courtroom trials in their mind. Just peace. Let me tell you, red flags aren't just in relationships. They're everywhere. It's the boss who jokes about overworking you before you even finish orientation. It's the friend who only calls you when they need something but disappears when you're struggling. It's the date who talks more about their ex than about their future. It's the business deal where somebody says trust me but refuses to put anything in writing. When you don't love yourself enough, you'll keep hearing those alarm bells and keep pressing snooze. But when you do love yourself, that alarm clock rings once and you wide awake. I remember watching a friend of mine, smart, talented, full of light, who kept choosing partners that dimmed her down. She would excuse every red flag because she was so scared to be alone. She thought, if I just love them harder, if I'm patient enough, they'll change. No, baby. Love doesn't fix character. Love doesn't erase selfishness. Love doesn't transform a warning sign into a green light. It was only when she fell in love with herself first that everything changed. She started moving differently. She stopped negotiating with dysfunction. She stopped arguing with the potential in people and started honoring the reality they showed her. Self-love gives you X-ray vision. It's like seeing through the glitter and the smiles and the sweet talk straight into the truth. Because when you have your own back, you don't need someone else to validate what you already know deep down. You ever see a mom at a playground? She got her eyes on her kid 24/7. The second that child looks uncomfortable, scared, lost, she moves instantly. She don't wait until he's crying. She don't wait until he's hurt. She trusts her instinct. That's the energy you need to bring to your own soul. Watch yourself like you would watch someone you love deeply, because you are someone you should love deeply. When something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't right. When someone's words don't match their actions, believe the actions. When someone's presence feels like confusion, inconsistency, and chaos, that's not love, that's a trap. Real love feels like peace, not panic. Real opportunities feel exciting, not suffocating. Self-love teaches you not to argue with reality. It teaches you not to sit at tables where love is served cold and explanations come served hot. It's not your job to rehabilitate every broken person who walks into your life. It's not your mission to turn red flags into white picket fence. It's not your calling to stay in places just because you've invested time there. Time spent in the wrong place is still time wasted. Loyalty to the wrong things is self-betrayal dressed up in pretty words. When you love yourself, you realize early is better than later. Early is better than bitter. Early is better than broken. Early is a blessing you give yourself by walking away when the first wrong note hits, not after the whole song is out of tune. Because here's the truth, people who truly love themselves never have to be told twice. One time disrespecting me, you showed me enough. One time lying to me, you showed me enough. One time playing games with my heart, my mind, my time, you showed me enough. And once you see it, when you really love yourself, you don't unsee it. You don't sugarcoat it. You don't lose sleep over it. You just choose yourself over and over and over again until choosing yourself feels like breathing. Self-love makes you comfortable saying no, and let me tell you something, that two-letter word will save your life if you let it. No is not a bad word. No is not selfish. No is not rude. No is a complete sentence, a boundary, a line drawn in the sand that says I know my worth, and I'm not moving it to make you more comfortable. When you don't love yourself enough, saying no feels like betrayal. You feel guilt. You feel scared that people will leave you, hate you, judge you. So you say yes to things that drain you. You say yes to invitations you don't want, relationships you've outgrown, jobs that suck the soul out of you. You spread yourself so thin trying to please everybody that you end up pleasing nobody, especially not yourself. But when you love yourself, oh, it hits different. You stop explaining your no. You stop dressing it up in long-winded excuses. You stop believing that you owe your time, energy, or peace to anybody who demands it. You ever been at a family gathering and someone says, come on, just do it. Don't be difficult, and you feel that pressure bubbling up. When you love yourself, you smile and say no thank you. Not maybe next time. Not well I guess I could. No, thank you. Period. Full stop. End of negotiation, because you understand now that every yes to someone else is a no to yourself if you don't mean it. Every time you say yes to nonsense, you're saying no to your own growth. Every time you say yes to drama, you're saying no to your peace. Every time you say yes to people pleasing, you're saying no to your destiny. Imagine if a fireman showed up to every single false alarm, wasting time, wasting energy, running himself ragged because he didn't want anyone to be mad he didn't show up. Pretty soon when a real fire comes, he's exhausted. He misses the big one. That's exactly what happens when you say yes to everything. You miss out on the things that truly need your fire, your passion, your focus. Saying no is an act of faith. It's believing that what is meant for you will not require you to betray yourself to keep it. It's believing that the right people, the right opportunities, the right blessings will respect your boundaries, not bulldoze them. I had a friend once who hated confrontation. She'd say yes to everything: babysitting kids she didn't want to watch, helping people move on her only day off, loaning money she didn't have. You know what she told me? She said, if I say no, they might stop liking me. And I told her, baby, if they only like you when you're suffering for them, they don't like you. They like your sacrifices. Self-love will teach you that you're not responsible for other people's feelings about your boundary. Self-love will teach you that peace is better than fake friendships built on guilt. Self-love will teach you that your no is just as holy, just as powerful, just as necessary as your yes. You ever notice how toddlers, little tiny humans, have no problem saying? You ask them to eat their broccoli, they shout no. You ask them to share their toy, they yell no. Somewhere along the line we're taught that saying no is wrong, that it's mean, that it makes us bad people. No, it doesn't. It makes us human. It makes us honest. It makes us free. When you love yourself, no becomes your protection plan. No becomes your shield against overcommitment, burnout, resentment. No becomes the way you make space in your life for what you truly want instead of drowning in what you never asked for. Picture your life like a garden. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve you, it's like planting a weed in your garden. One little weed doesn't seem like much, but say yes 20 times to the wrong things. Your garden is overrun. Now your real flowers, your real dreams don't even have room to grow. When you love yourself, you become the gatekeeper of your garden. You pull weeds early, you protect your soil. You say no without shame because you understand what's at stake: your happiness, your energy, your future. You ever get on an airplane and hear the flight attendant say, in case of emergency, put your own oxygen mask on first before assisting others? That's not selfishness, that's survival. You can't save anybody if you're gasping for air yourself. And you can't live your purpose if you're too busy drowning in yes after yes you never meant to give. Self-love trains you to recognize when an opportunity is a blessing or a burden. Self-love teaches you that if saying yes to them means saying no to your health, your dreams, your truth, then the answer has to be no, no matter how much they pout, guilt trip, or walk away. Because here's the truth: people who truly love and respect you will respect your no too. They won't make you feel like you're bad for having needs. They won't disappear when you set a boundary. They won't punish you for loving yourself. And if they do, if they leave because you dared to protect your peace, then thank God they showed their true colors early. Thank God your no did what it was supposed to do. Clear your path. Make room. Lift the weight of fake obligations off your shoulders. Because your life, your heart, your mind, your future, they're too precious to be handed over to anybody who makes you feel guilty for guarding them. When you love yourself enough, no stops being scary. It starts being sacred. It starts being the first step to every yes that really matters. Self-love attracts better opportunities because the energy you carry is the energy you call in. When you love yourself truly and unapologetically, you walk different, you talk different, you even breathe different. And people feel that. They might not be able to explain it, but they know it when they see it. It's like a magnet, a force that pulls the right people, the right doors, the right chances straight into your life. You ever notice how some people seem to always be in the right place at the right time? They just luck into the best jobs, the best friendships, the best relationships. That ain't luck. That's self-worth working behind the scenes. That's someone who said, I'm worthy, and the universe answered, you're right. When you don't love yourself, you settle for relationships that confuse you more than they love you. You settle for jobs that pay your bills but bankrupt your soul. You settle for friendships where you do all the giving and none of the receiving. You live in survival mode, accepting crumbs and convincing yourself it's a feast. But when you love yourself, you stop sitting at tables where love, respect, and opportunity are not being served. It's like standing outside in the rain with your hand out hoping someone will come put an umbrella over you. But when you love yourself, you bring your own umbrella. You say, I'll wait for the sun if I have to, but I'm not begging for shelter anymore. And when you stop begging, you start building. You build a life that fits you, honors you, elevates you, and that life draws better things to you like bees to honey. I remember a man who stayed stuck in a job he hated because he believed that was all he was worth. He thought, who would want me? So he never looked elsewhere. He stayed invisible. But the day he decided he was tired of living small, tired of waking up miserable, tired of doubting himself, everything shifted. He walked into his next interview with his shoulders back, with fire in his eyes, with a quiet power that said, I'm not begging to be here. You'd be lucky to have me. And guess what? They hired him on the spot, doubled his salary, gave him a corner office with a view. That wasn't magic. That was self-love finally shouting louder than his fear. See, opportunity doesn't chase desperation. It chases confidence. It chases certainty. You don't have to be the most talented. You don't have to have the most degrees. You just have to know your value so deeply that the world has no choice but to recognize it too. When you love yourself, you stop wasting time knocking on doors that are bolted shut. You stop crying over people who wouldn't even hold the door open for you. You stop sending invitations to people who would rather sit at another table, because you know, not guess, not hope, not wish. You know that what's meant for you will never have to be forced. You walk into rooms differently when you love yourself. You don't shrink. You don't apologize for taking up space. You don't audition for people's approval. You show up and you bring your full self, and that kind of presence attracts rooms, people, and opportunities that actually see you. It's like cleaning out your closet. You have to let go of the old, worn-out stuff that no longer fits to make room for new things. If you're still holding on to that jacket from 10 years ago that you don't even like anymore, there's no space for the new one you actually want. Same thing with life. When you love yourself, you're brave enough to let go of the wrong job, the wrong friendship, the wrong partner, even if you don't know exactly what's coming next, because you trust that better will find you when you finally make room for it. You don't get new blessings by clinging to old burdens. You don't get new beginnings by staying loyal to old endings. Self-love says, I deserve more, even if it means being uncomfortable for a while. Self-love says, I'd rather be alone in my truth than surrounded by people who only love my mask. Self-love says, I trust that what's leaving my life is making space for something greater. You ever seen a plant outgrow its pot? At first it looks fine, but over time the roots get tangled, the growth stops, the leaves start to wither. It wasn't that the plant wasn't strong. It was trapped in something too small for it. That's what happens when you outgrow old versions of yourself. If you don't love yourself enough to replant, to move into new soil, you stunt your own growth. But when you do, when you dare to believe you deserve more, the expansion is wild. You blossom bigger, stronger, more vibrant than you ever thought possible. The moment you start treating yourself like the prize, opportunities start treating you that way too. The moment you stop chasing what doesn't fit, what fits starts chasing you. You'll find yourself in rooms you once thought were out of reach. You'll meet people who speak your language, who honor your spirit, who match your energy. You'll see chances you never noticed before, because your eyes are no longer clouded by self-doubt and fear. You don't have to manipulate or beg or fight for what's meant for you. You just have to love yourself enough to believe you're worthy of it. You just have to be brave enough to say, I'm not settling. You just have to show up for yourself the way you always wanted someone else to show up for you. And in that moment, opportunities don't just find you, they recognize you. They say, there you are, we've been waiting for you. Self-love builds unshakable confidence, the kind that doesn't move when the storms of life come crashing in. It's easy to feel good about yourself when everything is going right, when you're winning, when you're praised, when you're celebrated. But true confidence isn't built in applause, it's built in the silence, in the shadows, in the moments when nobody is clapping and you still believe in yourself anyway. When you love yourself, you no longer wait for the world to tell you who you are. You stop standing on the sidelines hoping somebody will notice you, pick you, validate you. You walk into rooms not wondering if you're good enough, but knowing you bring something no one else can replicate. Your energy becomes undeniable because you carry the quiet knowing I am already enough. You ever watch a child learning how to walk? They stumble, they fall, they bump into things, but they get back up over and over again without ever questioning if they should stop trying. That's the kind of confidence that self-love births, relentless, resilient, unstoppable. It's not about being perfect. It's about knowing that even when you fall, you are still worthy, still powerful, still destined for greatness. Self-love whispers to you when the world screams at you to doubt yourself. Self-love is the voice inside that says, I am not my mistake. Self-love is the mirror that reflects back not just your victories but your potential even when no one else sees it yet. I remember a young man who was terrified to speak in public. Every time he got up, his hands would shake, his voice would crack. People laughed once, he almost quit forever. But something inside him, something deeper than fear, told him you are more than this moment. So he practiced, he stumbled, he got up, he spoke when his voice shook. And now he commands rooms so big they have to project his voice on giant screens just so everyone can hear him. That's the power of self-love. It turns fear into fuel. See, confidence isn't loud, it doesn't have to be. Real confidence isn't about shouting your worth from rooftops. It's about walking so solid in your truth that even when people doubt you, it doesn't shake you. It's the calm in your spirit that says you can underestimate, misunderstand me, even dislike me, and none of it changes who I know I am. When you love yourself, you don't crumble at criticism. You listen, you learn if needed. But you don't When you love yourself, rejection doesn't destroy you. It redirects you to where you were meant to be. When you love yourself, failure isn't fatal. It's feedback. It's information that sharpens you, not shame that defines you. You ever see someone walk into a room and instantly shift the atmosphere without even saying a word? That's self-love. That's unshakable confidence radiating out of their pores. And it's not because they think they're better than anyone. It's because they know they don't have to compete with anyone. They understand, my only competition is the person I was yesterday. Self-love teaches you to be your own biggest fan when nobody else shows up to cheer. Self-love reminds you to celebrate your progress, not just your perfection. Self-love is what lets you stand tall when life tries to cut you at the knees. I think about the story of the bamboo tree. For 5 years after it's planted, nothing seems to happen. It barely breaks the ground. But beneath the surface, it's building an unbreakable foundation. And then in just a few weeks, it shoots up to 90 feet tall. People might look at you and think you're stagnant, think you're stuck. They don't see the roots you're growing. They don't see the work you're doing inside yourself. But self-love lets you trust the process even when nobody else applauds the unseen work. Confidence isn't arrogance. Confidence is gratitude in action. It's saying, thank you, God, for making me exactly who I'm supposed to be, and walking in that truth even when the path is lonely. Confidence is knowing you don't need to dim your light for anyone. If someone can't handle your shine, let them find some sunglasses. Self-love reminds you that you were built for more than survival. You were built for thriving. You were built for leading. You were built for creating. for inspiring, for rising. And the beautiful thing is, once you build that unshakable confidence from self-love, nobody can take it from you. Not a failed relationship, not a lost job, not a betrayal, a rumor, a set, because your confidence wasn't built on something external. It was built on a foundation nobody else laid but you. It was built in the quiet mornings you chose yourself again and again. It was built in the lonely nights when you decided your dreams were still worth fighting for. It was built in the mirror, when you looked yourself in the eyes and said, I will not give up on you. You won't have to scream to be heard. You won't have to beg to be seen. You won't have to hustle for approval. Because self-love gives you the kind of confidence that moves mountains without even breaking a sweat. It gives you the kind of presence that speaks before you even open your mouth. It gives you the kind of courage that builds empires from ashes and turns every you can't into watch. Self-love protects your peace like a fortress around your soul. When you love yourself, you stop letting chaos set up camp inside your heart. You stop opening your door to every storm that knocks. You understand that peace is not something you stumble upon by accident. It's something you build, protect, and prioritize with everything you've got. You ever watch how a bodyguard operates? They don't just let anyone run up to the person they're protecting. They assess every approach. They're ready to step in without hesitation if a threat comes close. That's exactly how you have to guard your peace when you start loving yourself for real. You stop letting every argument, every opinion, every drama session have access to you. You realize your energy is precious, your mind is valuable, and your spirit is sacred. Self-love whispers in your ear when chaos tries to pull you in, saying this fight isn't worth it. Self-love tells you when a conversation is designed to steal your joy, not bring you clarity. Self-love teaches you how to walk away, not out of fear but out of wisdom. Not every battle deserves your sword. Some battles deserve your silence. Some deserve your absence. I remember watching someone who could never say no to drama. Every little comment, every rude text, every misunderstanding, they had to jump in, argue, prove themselves right. You could see the exhaustion on their face. It wasn't the battles that wore them down. It was the fact that they believed every battle was theirs to fight. When you love yourself, you realize that not everything deserves a response. Some people are committed to misunderstanding you. Some situations are built to distract you. And you, my friend, have better places to put your energy. Self-love makes you strategic. It makes you select. It teaches you that peace is not passive. It's powerful. Peace is waking up in the morning without dread sitting on your chest. Peace is choosing quiet over noise, healing over hurting, solitude over shallow connection. Peace is understanding that no amount of attention, no amount of approval, no amount of being right is worth the price of your inner calm. You ever seen a pond early in the morning, still, calm, reflecting the sky like glass? Now imagine someone coming along and throwing a big rock into that pond, disturbing everything. That's what negativity does when you invite it into your spirit. It throws rocks into your calm. Self-love makes you the protector of your water. You get to decide who can approach and who needs to be loved from a distance, far, far away from the peace you worked so hard to build. It's not about being cold. It's not about being unforgiving. It's about understanding that your healing, your joy, your future is too valuable to let just anyone come in and pollute it. It's about realizing that forgiveness doesn't mean re-entry. Just because you forgive someone doesn't mean they get to sit at your table again. Some folks have to eat in another room because your peace cannot afford their noise anymore. When you truly love yourself, you start loving quiet moments more than chaotic crowds. You start treasuring your mornings with no drama, your nights with no anxiety, your days with no unnecessary battle. You start seeing that your peace is a form of wealth, richer than money, stronger than popularity. People will call you selfish for protecting your peace. Let them. People will call you arrogant for refusing to engage in drama. Let them. People will call you difficult for setting boundaries that guard your joy. Let them. Because those same people will drain you dry if you let them. Those same people will use your kindness as a doormat if you don't stand up for yourself. Those same people will mistake your compassion for permission until you show them otherwise. Self-love builds a firewall around your mind. It teaches you not to let every comment get downloaded into your heart. It teaches you that somebody's opinion of you is not your reality. It teaches you that your worth was never up for debate.
It teaches you that you can walk away without bitterness, without anger, without revenge, just peace in your heart and a smile on your face. You ever been at a party where the music's too loud, the crowd's too rowdy, and you can feel yourself getting overwhelmed? That's life when you don't protect your peace. You're living in a constant state of overstimulation, overcommitment, overreaction. But when you start valuing yourself, you get comfortable leaving the party early. You get comfortable saying, "This environment isn't healthy for me," and removing yourself with no drama and no explanation needed. Self-love teaches you that not every opportunity is worth taking if it costs your peace. Not every relationship is worth keeping if it drains your joy. Not every argument is worth winning if it steals your calm. You start living by a new rule. If it doesn't bring me peace, progress, or purpose, it doesn't belong in my life. And here's the thing, the more you guard your peace, the more powerful you become. When you're not exhausted from fighting meaningless battles, you have energy to build dreams. When you're not tangled up in toxic emotions, you have clarity to chase purpose. When you're not caught up in drama, you have space to welcome miracles. People will wonder why you don't respond to pettiness anymore. They'll wonder why you don't show up to every argument you're invited to. They'll wonder how you stay so calm, so focused, so strong. And the answer will be simple. You chose you. You chose peace over popularity. You chose growth over gossip. You chose healing over history. You chose to love yourself enough to protect your heart like the treasure it is. Here's a powerful ending you can use to close your speech in a way that feels uplifting, memorable, and emotional. So today I challenge you, choose yourself, choose your peace, choose your power, choose your future over your fear. Choose to love yourself so fiercely that no storm can shake you, no rejection can break you, and no darkness can steal your light. Because when you love yourself, you don't just survive, you rise. You don't just endure, you inspire. You don't just exist, you conquer. The greatest gift you will ever give to this world is the fully loved, fully alive, unstoppable version of you. Thank you.